I'm going to show you something of interest now that relates to sun and Haarp. Okay, first of all, this is the space. I would use a screen capture, but I can't talk at the same time. It's too much hassle. You see, the 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th. Right, there was a K4, K5, and K6. These are sun activity. Okay. Now, if I add another tab and go to, because I ain't got much time on this, go to here. You can see this is the sun activity and it tells you what's predicted, da 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 da. But if I go here, you can see where they've hit. So the 5th, right, back end of 4th into the 5th, and that was quite a high filament. Now we're back to normal again, right? So look on here. So we've got 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th is where we're going into now. Okay, you can see the dates underneath. Geomagnetic, da 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 da. There's no other warnings, X-ray events, protons, or anything like that. That comes up here. This is an update of what the sun's doing every single day. And now I'm going to go to Haarp, the induction meter. Now, the last time Chile had an earthquake, this was massively vibrational, but I reckon that's interrelated to the earth vibrating from the sun as well. As you can see, on the 4th of February, it's hitting us now. If we go on to the next day, 5th of February, next day, which is the 5th and the 6th combined, all the way across. Go back to here, 4th, 5th and 6th. So, the sun is related to what Haarp is doing when it looks like this. Okay? This is sun activity, for definite. If I put the BY and the BZ on an update and have a look and see what that says, you've got that bit. Okay? Previous day. That one, that one, that one. You see a lot of sun activity, and previous day again, and that'll be your last one. 4th, 4th, 4th. There you go. Okay. So there you go. I'll put them links underneath, and then you'll know what they are. Okay, bye. Hi YouTube. I've just popped in on an interesting video one of my friends sent me, called March pole shift evidence. You know, all this thing that's going on about pole shift at the moment, which is something that could happen, or tilt, or physical tilt, whatever. Something that could happen, but I don't think it's something that would happen that quickly unless something else was involved, right? But this video is quite interesting because, I don't know, at first I just thought, oh, okay, that's a bit interesting. And then she mentioned Chile and how the axis moved like 3 degrees. I did remember hearing something about it was that big that it could have potentially tilted the Earth. And then remember the magnetic north, or what they're saying is the magnetic north, moved 10 degrees. And it usually moves between 2, 3, 4 degrees. So 3 degrees tilt from, that's about 6, 7 degrees. And then it's something to do with how we were lined up. And one of my other friends goes on about Haarp and the magnemeter not necessarily being experiments or them putting Haarp on, which, to be honest, the more and more I'm looking into it now, the more and more I think he's right, to be honest. But the sun has massive influence on the planet, right? Now the sun is going into higher activity. Like at the weekend, I think it was Saturday, we had a K5 and a K6 solar flares, and we had a magnetic storm, if I remember rightly. If you have a look at www.solarcycle24.com, you'll see there's graphs there. The weekend's stuff should still be there. I've also got another page that I go to, which is space warnings currently in effect, and it lists everything that's going on with radio blackouts and everything. I'll put that link at the bottom of the video in the description, as well as the solar cycle one, the actual main page. Because when the sun has activity, it takes 2 or 3 days to turn up. Sometimes it can be a day, sometimes it can be 2 days, sometimes it can be 2 or 3 days later. It depends how fast this filament's been blasted off and how quickly it's going to impact the Earth, and if the magnetic field's stretched and on what state. Yeah, it's loads of things that are taken into consideration. And they were going on about that when Chile happened, it could have tilted the Earth slightly, right? The earthquake itself, that's fine. The sun was in alignment with something. Now, this YouTube user did tell me this, and I can't remember what planet or what thing was in line with it, which caused these earthquakes. and we're due for another alignment around the 15th of March, according to this other YouTube user, which, if that's the case, yeah, it could possibly cause an earthquake if the conditions are the same. But she's also talking about some kind of comet. Now, the only reason why I question this, or would even go, you know, because I'm not sort of, I can't see anything out there, so I'm not going to say it's not true, but I'd question it and not be panicked by it, for the reason being that the thing that makes me not worried but a little bit like sceptic about it is because of that thing that turned up in the paper about the two suns turning up, Betelgeuse and a supernova, and two suns in the sky. Da 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 da. Now there's some other alignment with a comet, and you just think to yourself, well, is that the thing that's going to look like the sun, this comet that comes nearer this time, that may cause problems? You know, obviously, I don't know what kind of warning you'd have, or you know, really, and I wouldn't say that people run away and hide somewhere around that sort of date either. I've got the week before off, as it happens, and Tuesday the 15th of March is my day off at work, so I can be where I need to be if anything like that happened. But I don't know, it's just like, who the fuck knows? At the end of the day, right, I'm not going to be negative about it. Even if that was going to happen, great, it's obviously needed. The universe is doing it for a reason, because everything's created with thought. Now, I'm not saying that everything outside the universe is created, but if we're all thinking along the same lines, we can create things with outside the universe, or so you'd have thought if it's collective thought. It can get so fucking complicated, I'm just not going to get into that, and spiritualism or whatever else, but I don't know, just keep your eyes open, have a look at what the sun's doing the next few days, keep an eye on the earthquakes, that's all you can do. Obviously the box ain't going to tell you anything, the only thing you'll get is dee, emergency transmission. And there's no point fucking tuning into the British World Service, they've made cuts there, you probably won't get it in the country you're in. Seriously. But no, I don't think it's anything to panic about, I don't necessarily think anything's going to, seriously is going to happen, and to be honest, if the planet did tilt a few degrees more, it tilts a few degrees more, let's just hope itself so we get warmer weather if you live in England. If not, it's going to get fucking cold because we're going to be moving further north, which might account for, that's the other thing as well, is this chilly thing happened and 3 degrees was supposed to be the shift, right, for argument's sake. Let's say the earth did shift, right, let's give a hypothetical, say the earth shifted 3 degrees, actual tilt at the chilly earthquake, right? My friend then, who goes to work on the train every day, sits on a certain side of the train so the sun doesn't come in his eyes. Now, I get that, but when the sun's very low, it would seem to come through both, or may come through both, in your head, right? So I was like, well, maybe you've mistaken just, you know, a certain time of year when it does come through both. And he's quite sure that he didn't, right? Which is fine, that's not a problem. If the Earth had shifted 3 degrees, the sun might rise in a different place. Only slightly, but that slight would be enough to go through 2 lots of train windows, especially if it's at a low point in the sky. Possibly. I'm not saying this is the case, but train lines don't move. Do you know what I mean? They don't move. So if that, say it did move, that might be why he thinks he's seeing the sun slightly off. And maybe why other people like myself are saying, well, the sun's rising in the same place as it normally does, on the same section of sky, because it does move along it, and setting in the same section of sky. Now, I won't know indefinitely until we're into the summer period, where I always see the sunset over that thing over there. And also at the allotment, I know exactly where the sun sets. My mate, who drives towards the sun every morning, reckons the sun is in exactly the same place. Well, if it's only 3 degrees, that's nothing in the sky, is it? Right? So say that did happen, then say that's why we got our colder winters earlier, and maybe something else, because weather patterns have moved. You know, countries get certain weather patterns every year, but they've been exceptional this year to the point where they're tenfold. Maybe patterns have moved because of the way that we're getting solar wind and the cosmic wind from cosmic rays from the universe, because when the sun's at low activity, cosmic rays penetrate our atmosphere more than they normally would, and that creates cloud cover, or more susceptible to cloud cover. If the solar winds are blowing at a certain thingy and the sun's in high thingy and CMEs are coming towards us and whatever else, it causes less cloud cover because of the solar winds pushing the cosmic rays out the way. That's the scientific explanation. So, you know, if it's moved, then obviously different parts of the Earth will be at greater intention of direct sunlight than other parts, because at the angle it'll be split. It won't hit it so direct, because it's a sphere, remember? You know, in effect, you know, if the sun's hitting it there at full force, this part round here isn't going to be getting as much intense daylight, hence why certain portions of the day are where you shouldn't go out between 1 and 3, you know, depending on what country you're in, you know, between 1 and 3, that's where the sun's at its hardest point, because it's at the highest point in the sky and therefore is at its most intense. So if the sun has moved 3 degrees, these intensities are going to be over different portions of land, different portions of water, which could cause different weather phenomenally, as well as the government pumping God knows what shit into the sky to create artificial clouds and seed things and experiment with this, experiment with that, as well as Haarp doing their little experiments with the fucking ionosphere, not necessarily to manipulate weather, but doing experiments in a little radius area. I posted a video the other day, which I'll put the link below as well, in regard to a BBC reporter actually went to Iscat, they call it, not Haarp, and learnt about the experiments they're doing. But it was in the proportion of the area where they were. Experiments, what the sun's effect has on things, you know? So it's all related, because weather is controlled by the sun. The magnetic field and its effect around the Earth is controlled by us spinning, the core inside, the actual temperature, and how much the sun is active. You know, there's loads of mainly the sun controls everything. The sun causes earthquakes as well, definitely. Excuse me. Of course it does, and this is why potentially Haarp could cause an earthquake if they wanted to use it in that way. Okay, because it could be used in the same principle as how the sun causes earthquakes. So some of this is natural phenomenon, some of it may be government controlled. Who knows? We can't decipher between the two. It's just that because if you've got a level of understanding of the sun, you have a level of understanding of what's going to happen on the face of the Earth in the sense of seismic activity and weather. Yeah, the sun has more than one cycle. It's an 11-year cycle, I think a 25-year cycle, a 50-year cycle, a 150-year cycle, and something like a 500-year cycle. I can't remember what they're called. I can't remember what bloody video explained it for the life of me. But there's more than one cycle on the sun, definitely. I'll have to research it and maybe post something about it, but definitely. We are going into high solar maximus, but high solar maximus is deemed to be nowhere near as maximus as the last maximus. And the last maximus, we had heat waves. So, who the fuck knows? Anyway, peace, love and light, and tell me what you think. Just go and have a look at this, because it's just worth looking at and questioning and maybe putting some insight into it, because then it helps everyone, doesn't it? So, peace, love and light, speak to you, and be positive. Speak to you too. Bye.